Welcome back, Careblazer. Today I'm going to do something different in this video. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of a special training I did for a very special group of you Careblazers. So several times a year, I do a 14-day Make Caregiving Easier challenge. And what I'm about to show you is a snippet of part of day 4. So what you're going to see is me talking about how our brains are bullies and they've basically been designed. We have this stuff that happens in our brain. All humans go through it. And it's important to know about it because then we can have those things work for us instead of working against us. And by doing that, we can make our caregiving journey so much easier. What's happening for all of us, or the majority of us, is that we are just functioning on autopilot. Our brains are doing what they're designed to do. And because we don't realize what's happening, we are beating ourselves up. We're getting frustrated about the situation. And we're thinking things and feeling things and doing things that just make caregiving actually much more difficult than it has to be. So I'm going to pop in about halfway through day 4 is what you're about to witness. There might be some things you've never heard of before that I mention, like learned helplessness, the confirmation bias, the reticular activating system. It does not matter if you've never heard these things before. It's okay. Because this is day 4, we've already been building up and working on some things, and you're hopping in the middle to get a little behind the scenes. And so, but what I really want to encourage all of you to do who watch this, and I truly hope you watch the whole thing, especially till the end, I'm going to be asking questions. So in this Make Caregiving Easier challenge, it's kind of a workshop style. I interact with the Careblazers who are there. I ask them questions, I ask them follow-up questions, and I want you to do the same thing. As you're listening to this video, I want you to grab a piece of paper. I want you to grab a pen. I want you to write down your answers to the questions I'm asking. Okay? And I want you to really take some time to think about it. Even if you don't know the answer to those questions while you're watching this video, at least jot down the questions so you can go back later and process it and come up with your own responses. I know that this information can help you, and I want to share a little bit with you here in today's YouTube video. If you have any follow-up questions about it, feel free to leave a comment below. And I'm splicing up parts of day 4. So you're getting like bits of information. It's not the full day 4, but I'm giving you the really big meat and potatoes, okay? I hope you enjoy it. I hope it helps you. I'll be back next week with a new video.
Do we have a day? I mean, it depends on the research you look at, but it's a lot. It's like anywhere between 30,000 and 50,000 thoughts a day we have, right? Some of them we don't even pay attention to. We can't even give it like the attention. The thoughts that we are most aware of, the thoughts that are on our mind the most, are the ones that we just think about the most. Turns out the thoughts that we think about the most and we give the most attention to are those scary negative thoughts, right? So I want to help all of you start to practice, sure, we could call them positive thoughts, but how about just also practice some other just as realistic thoughts? That's what I really want to drive home. So many of us are like, oh, so we just practice the positive. It's like, well, no, how about we just practice realistic thoughts? Because right now your thoughts that, something awful is going to happen, or you're not as good of a caregiver as you should be, right? Those thoughts, quite frankly, may not even be true. I would argue a lot of the times they're not even true. You're just used to thinking them, right? We can't believe all of our thoughts. Like the thoughts that we're thinking on repeat all the time may not be true, oftentimes are not true. So when I'm talking about, well, let's spend some time thinking some thoughts that would actually help us, people like to say that's positive. Well, why isn't that just as realistic? It's the only reason why it doesn't feel realistic is because you haven't been practicing them. It's because it hasn't been well worn into your neural network in your brain, right? But if you're going to spend some time thinking about how horrible of a caregiver you are, which I would like to argue anybody who spent money to join a 15-day challenge, that's just not true, right? Why not spend some time, also some equal airtime, as I like to call it, thinking about all the ways that you're an excellent caregiver, right? And for some reason, we resist that. We push against it. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel truthful, only because you haven't been practicing it and you haven't been thinking it. All right. Laura says your brain doesn't know if what you are imagining is real or not, but acts like a real threat. Absolutely, that is true, right? So I want to help you guys start to think some thoughts that would be helpful to you. So before we do that, I want to hear from you, what are some of your common repeat thoughts that you would consider to be negative, or you would consider keep you down or hurt you, or you realize after listening so far to what we've talked about today, you realize it's kind of stuck in that kind of negativity bias or the confirmation bias. Your brain is confirming things you've just been thinking your whole life, regardless of whether or not it's true, right? So what are some of those thoughts that you feel like you've carried around long enough and you don't think they're serving you and you want to change them? You're ready to start to change them. You can leave those in the comment. I cannot handle more. And yeah, Nora, if I actually challenged you on that, I guarantee you could. I know you don't want to, but you could. I'm not good enough. I can't handle it anymore. I wish it was over. Yeah. Right. So this path is only going to get harder. I will not be able to handle everything myself. I'm stuck with this kind of life. Yeah. Right. Whenever you ask a question, I ask you to answer it. So when it comes to a thought, am I going to be able to handle everything that is going to come with dementia? I'm guessing your thought is, I'm not going to be able to handle everything that's coming. I'm a liar and steal things. I must keep busy. I don't know the best way to handle a situation. What if I'm feeling all alone in this? Okay, perfect. So I'm guessing we could probably all agree that these thoughts, they don't serve you. They don't benefit you, right? How in the world do these thoughts help you in any way? Do they make you feel good? Do they make your loved one improve? Do they make you excited and looking forward to your day, right? I'm guessing these thoughts lead to negative results. They only serve to bring you down. They do not serve you in a good way. And if you weren't in my courses or you didn't go through this challenge and you weren't keeping an open mind, you may try to argue for the thought. You may try to argue and say, but let me show you all the evidence that proves that thought true. So caregivers, you can prove every single one of those thoughts true. Every single one of them. Brenda, you could prove that you're selfish. Nick, you could prove your marriage was a mistake. Robin, you could choose that you're not kind and empathic, right? Marge, you could prove that you are not a dynamic or kind caregiver. Lori, you could prove that you're overwhelmed. Your brain will always try to prove you true, right? We just learned that based on the confirmation bias. Whatever you are thinking and believing, your brain will prove it true, right? Now, Careblazers, I want you to type out, what are some thoughts you would like to believe? What are some thoughts that you think would be better serving to you? What are some ones that you want to practice? Right now, the thoughts you just gave me, you don't need very much practice because you've been practicing them for a long time. They come naturally to you. Don't ever confuse thoughts that come easy to you as a sign that those are more accurate thoughts. That's not the case. It's just that you've practiced them more, and the confirmation bias is proving that it's true. Your confirmation bias is always going to prove you true, right? So let's spend some time thinking, okay, well then, if I know the confirmation bias is real, if I know that the brain is always going to look for evidence of what I already believe, what is it that I want to believe? What is it? We have the power to do this. Careblazer strong. It says so on my mug. I can handle whatever comes. I am capable and can handle whatever comes my way. She's better off being here. I'm doing enough. I am worthy. Yes, I am worthy. I am enough, Laura says. Lori, I am enough. I can handle this. I can handle this. Leisha, Linda, yes, no, there's themes here. Multiple people, I can handle this. Multiple people, I am worthy. Multiple people, I can handle whatever comes, right? This is wonderful, Careblazer. Okay, so here's the next step. I am strong. I am loving. Yes, yes, yes. I can do it. Beautiful. Careblazer. Now take a moment, because you did that. That's wonderful. That's step one. I want you to take a moment, and I want you to show me the evidence that that thought is true. You don't have to list out all the evidence, right? There's probably a ton of it that is not it doesn't come to you as easily as your negative first thought. But write down, if you wrote down a comment, if you wrote down what you would like to practice believing, I want you to spend some time telling me evidence that it's true. How is that thought true to you? So Marge, how do you know you are good enough? What evidence do you have that you are good enough? Rose, what evidence do you have that you're going to handle whatever comes? Robin, what evidence do you have that you can endure anything? Peggy, what evidence do you have that this is going to pass? And Robin, what evidence do you have that you're capable? And Yolanda, what evidence do you have that you have resources to help you with this? Tamra, what evidence do you have that you love him and you can do this, right? I can go on and on and on. What is the evidence that you have? Linda says, I've started asking for help so that I can have more me time. Yes. Lori says her evidence right now is that her mom is happy. Laura says, I'm still experiencing moments of joy with my loved one, even after hard times. Jan, she responds when I figure out how to deal with her. Jane, I was away all afternoon and he's still alive. Went for a walk and went to the garden. Yes. Betty, I've handled many difficult problems in the past. Yes. Robbie, I'm getting better at this. Rose, I've handled everything so far, right? There's no reason this can't continue. I can do it because I'm basically a patient person already. Yes. Yes, Robin. So notice though, as you go through your days, as you've been going through your days up until this point, you've probably not been relying on that evidence, right? The negative evidence always comes easier. Peggy, I've had other terrible stuff happen and I get through. Robin, my mom is safe and clean and cared for. Yes, yes, yes. You have the evidence. If you even didn't have the evidence, I have a way to work around that, but you have the evidence. Every single one of these thoughts that you're having, those negative thoughts, they're not even fully true. A lot of them aren't even true at all. And the thoughts that you want to practice, the thoughts that you want to believe, you already have evidence enough to start believing them, at least to start practicing believing them, because you talked me into it. Yeah. So here's how I want you to think about this. Okay. So your brain has so many thoughts in a day, right? The ones that you notice most are the ones that you are focusing on the most. They're also the ones that you've practiced the most. And they're also the ones that your brain, through the confirmation bias and through the reticular activating system, they're going to notice more because your brain is like going to try to prove you true. The reticulating activating system is on. It's going to try to show you all the things that are already on your mind, right? So this is to raise your awareness that you have a lot of power in what you want to choose to think. There are going to, and okay, so this is going to be part of your challenge for tonight into tomorrow until we meet again. This is how I want you to think about all the thoughts you have. We have, I don't know, somewhere between 30 and 50,000 thoughts a day. Okay. Your brain is going to offer you mind chatter. Your brain is going to offer you all those unhelpful thoughts that don't serve you. It's going to do it. They're going to be part of that 40,000 thoughts, right? I don't want you to make that mean anything, but this is how we are treating most of our thoughts. This is how we go about our days. Me too. It's like we have a buffet. It's like we're approaching a buffet of food. The reason those thoughts are stronger is because you've been thinking about them more. You've been practicing them more. Because if we took the thought, I can handle this and I can't handle this, if we were to evaluate them in the court of law, I mean, quite frankly, I think we'd find more evidence that we can handle it because here you are trying to handle it, right? But they're both equally as true. They're both equally as true. Which one do you want to believe more? Which one do you want your brain to hunt for evidence for? Which one do you want your reticular activating system to start to point out to you as true? Do you want that confirmation bias and reticular activating system to constantly point out that you can't handle it? Or do you want it to start pointing out all the evidence in ways that you are, right? One has a really awesome, powerful, empowering, beautiful ending, beautiful path, learning path for you to be on. The other one serves no good purpose. Doesn't serve you, doesn't serve your loved one, doesn't help anything, right? Do we see that? So the things that we're believing easier is just because we've been practicing them more. I want you to start practicing thoughts that serve you. Our brains are bullies. Your brain will offer you the chatter all day long. Your brain will continue to tell you, offers me those thoughts every day. And I just say, I hear you. I don't choose to eat you today. You are not what I'm putting on my plate, right? I choose these other thoughts that I want to practice more. And one day, those thoughts I do believe will be easier for me. They'll get easier because I practice them. And then guess what? Because of the 50-50 of life, like we learned about in day one, something else is going to pop up as a challenge. And then I have to decide, what thoughts do I want to practice here? What do I want to believe here? What serves me here? And Careblazers, I know this is a challenge on making caregiving easier, but this practice can apply. That's the beauty of all of this. Everything I'm teaching truly can apply in all of your areas of life, right? Yes, I like to think that I'm a giving person and that I am strong. So Brenda, I want you to practice that in your head, and practicing not only just saying it, but I want you to go through your day the next 24 hours until we meet again. I want you to look for all the evidence that you're a giving person. What is all the evidence that you are strong? Look for it. Ask your brain, show me, what are all the ways that I'm strong? What are all the ways I'm a giving person? Lori, what are all the ways I can be happy today? You know what's really awesome? Because your brain is always trying to prove you're right? Like when you ask your brain a really good question, your brain will go on the hunt for a really good answer. So Lori, when you ask your brain, when you say, I can be happy today, and then you ask your brain, how can I be happy today? What are some things I can do to be happy today? What are some thoughts I can think to be happy today? You might actually surprise yourself with some of the answers you get, right? And then all of a sudden you're doing some things and you're thinking some things that you don't normally do on your day-to-day basis. It ends up changing your whole world. For those of you who went through my care course, I know I have a lot of care course members in here. We learned about how your thoughts impact your feelings, and your feelings impact your actions, and your actions impact your loved ones, and it also impacts their results and your results, right? We learned that it's all connected, right? So I think this makes life more beautiful. Yes, right. And so that's another, like for people who are like, life is so hard. Yes, if you have that thought, we could sit here all day long and point out all the evidence of how life is hard. That's not hard to do, right? We could go to COVID, we could go to death, we could go to murder, we could go to financial strain, we could go to families being torn apart, kids not having food, schools being shut down. We can sit here and go over all of the evidence about life being hard or life not being beautiful. What good does that do? How does that serve you? But you know what else we could do? We can spend a lot of time thinking about how this life is beautiful. What are all the ways this life is beautiful? This life is beautiful because even in the depths of overwhelming caregiving challenges, we still show up for ourselves. We still offer support to one another. We still do things like sign up for challenges to help better ourselves. This world is amazing because we have this thing called the internet, and we can connect with people and get support when things in person are shut down. This world is amazing because I can turn on my sink and water comes out. This world is amazing because I have food to eat. I'm not hungry. This world is amazing because the sun comes out every single day. Every single day, natural light comes out, right? This world is amazing because I have a bed, right? Those are the reasons why life is beautiful and amazing for me. It'll be different for everybody. But the thing is, your brain will give you and prove to you whatever it is you want to give it and whatever it is you want it to prove. So many of us are walking around having our brains prove us things we don't want to believe, that don't serve us, that keep us down, right? So remember, ask your dog. Oh, yes, my dog, yes. Yes, yes, yes. And the thing is like, this is science. This is why I started today just going over what is the confirmation bias? What is the negativity bias? What is learned helplessness? What is the reticular activating system? All of these things are things that are just, they are. Our brain has this stuff going on. So why not use it to our advantage, right? Okay, so Careblazers, let's see. Um, so many people get upset that the negative thought pops into their mind in the first place, you know? That's like me getting upset that the buffet had sandwich meat. Makes no sense. Your brain is just going to offer it. It's brain chatter. It's like 40,000 thoughts of the 40,000 things a day. Like, and whatever you've been thinking and believing, that's what it's going to be offering to you. Okay. So this is where you have to decide, what do I want to think on purpose? And let me look for all the evidence that it's there. You have your digital workbook, Brain 4. There's thoughts there, right? So you're going to go through, and I want you to take some time answering all the questions that you that are in that workbook. But I also, the application of the questions, that's what I want you to do. I want you to just notice it. Notice the negative thoughts. Notice the thought you're trying to practice, and notice how your brain starts to look for the evidence, okay? So that's kind of the application of the workbook for today. Good. I'm glad you like that, Peggy. Yes.
Careblazer, what did you think? Have you noticed how your brain often feeds you the stuff that's not helpful, where it's easy for you to believe the stuff that's pretty awful or negative about you, but even though it's just as equally true that you have all these amazing things about you and about how you are as a Careblazer, our brain doesn't even pay attention to it. Our brain likes to dismiss it. So I hope you'll use some of the principles and information I talked about in this video to your advantage and start applying it to your caregiving situation today. All right, Careblazer. Bye.